welcome back to another edition of Cop Tool. I'm Jay and here with Neil. What's going on? We're going to be talking about brushless, cordless recip saws. We got some new ones. We did a challenge a couple years ago, and these are all new. At the time, Milwaukee was the only one that had a brushless, so we had some brushed models. Now they're all brushless. Some new competitors in the market. Recently, you and Zach did a pallet project using these saws. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we realized we needed some new doors in our shop. We were looking around at some videos how to use pallets to make our shop doors here. And a lot of these use recip saws to tear the pallets down, so we thought it'd be a really good opportunity to get to use a few of these.
So in addition to breaking down a lot of pallets, we also then ran just cuts in 2x4, but I think really what we're trying to get is which one is quicker or more powerful and metal and wood. So we have five saws. We have the GSA 18V 125 Bosch with the Core 6.3 battery. This is the DeWalt DCS 388. This is the FlexVolt with the 9 amp battery. This is the 2721 Milwaukee One Key that has also the 9 amp battery. This is the XRJ05 with a 4.0 battery, and this is the XRJ06 with two 4.0 batteries. Okay, so to get some actual comparison data, we started off with black pipe, so we just did 5 cuts with each one. We timed each cut, and we took an average of 5. So who ranked best to worst?
Sure. We'll start from the bottom here. Our Bosch came in at about 5.7 seconds on average per cut. Our Milwaukee was right above it with 4.2. Our DeWalt came in with 3.6 on average. Makita came around 3, and that was with 1 battery. And the Makita with 2 batteries came in about 2.4, which was our fastest cut per black pipe.
That was very aggressive. One thing I will say, there was a little soft start with the DeWalt, and then on the Milwaukee One Key, they really have each specific task optimized. So when you pull the trigger, it's a really slow start that lasts like a second, and then it ramps up. So it was kind of misleading the numbers because with that soft start, you get a good entry, you're not jumping around at all, and it really gets right in there and digs in, and then you zip right through. So when you kind of look at the numbers, you're like, oh, I don't know if it feels like the Milwaukee was the slowest, or I was surprised by the Bosch coming in last, because it feels just as aggressive as the others, but it just didn't have the numbers there.
All right, so next what we did here is take a 2x4 and we did 5 cuts just like the pipe and took the average of the 5 cuts for each one. So these kind of lined up generally the same. We had our Bosch at last with 3.8 seconds on average. Our Milwaukee came in around 3.5. The Makita with 1 battery was at 3.4. The DeWalt was at 3.19, which jumped the 1 battery from the last pipe there. And the Makita with 2 batteries came in fastest at 2.73 again. And with the wood here, what we noticed is it wasn't as spread out. There's a lot more discrepancy on the pipe where some were much slower than others. The wood, it was all pretty close here in range.
Again, on the Bosch, so this is the only one that actually had an orbital action. It also has a speed control, so I was really optimistic putting in orbital action it was going to be the leader. And it felt like it was right up there. I couldn't tell the difference when I was using them, what was going to be first or last, but I guess it was just a hair behind. And again, these did have soft start, so in actual practice, it was really hard to tell the difference between the Milwaukee and the Makita. When you're working with recip saws, an extended amount of time, weight's going to factor into it. These are all going to be heavy tools. The heavier it's going to be, the more your fatigue you're going to get. So weight-wise, what's the lightest? What's the heaviest?
Our lightest saw here was our Makita with 1 battery. That was at 8.3 pounds. Right behind that was our Bosch with the new design here. That was 9.4 pounds. In third place, we had our Makita with 2 batteries. That is 9.9. So you only had an extra 1.5 pounds with your extra battery on there. Fourth place, we had our Milwaukee at 9.95. And last was our DeWalt at 10.65 pounds, the most heavy.
Heaviest here. We'd obviously have to talk about the new design of this thing because it's pretty unique. It's got some nice usability to it. I mean, it feels awkward the first time you pick it up, but then you kind of start doing things and you realize, hey, I can get, you know, my hand around it here. If I'm reaching overhead, I got a little bit more flexibility. So that was pretty good usability. So all of them have the Raptor hook except for the FlexVolt. That's the only one missing that, which I think is a very handy feature when you're working around. Sometimes you never use it, but you know, typically these are versatile tools that you're using all over the place, so it comes in handy. So the DeWalt was also the only one that didn't have any options for speed. It has a variable speed trigger, but all the rest of them you can change the speed. These two have you know, 1 and 2 speeds. This one has a dial, and this one obviously has, you know, programmable any speed you want through the Bluetooth app.
Another important feature you may want to consider when working with Sawzalls is your blade release here. With our Makitas here, we have kind of just like your standard piston release. It is kind of neat that it does stay open when you take the blade out, so you don't have to do it again when you're putting it back in. Moving to our Milwaukee, it has a little lever action here. It is a little small, but pretty simple to use. The DeWalt gets a little easier here. It's similar to the Milwaukee kind of. It's got a much larger latch release here. And then this new Bosch down here has a really easy to grab. It's kind of like a latch over handle here. It's much larger and it's a little easier to get your blade in and out of there. So you'll notice here that our saws are all using a very different battery technology. Do you want to touch on that a little bit?
Sure. So it used to be easier. Last time we did a recip saw comparison, we just got the exact same amp hour batteries for all the saws. That's not really realistic because when you go to the store, you're going to want to get the best that you can buy. And so what's that going to be? Well, with Milwaukee and DeWalt, that's going to be 9 amp hour batteries. You want to get the most runtime you can, you're going to go that direction. With you know, with Makita, you got a single battery or a tool battery, and there's a lot of decisions to make there. Is it better to actually have one battery on the tool and one battery on the charger, or have 2 batteries on the tool and then you have to figure out how to put 2 batteries, you know, have 2 batteries ready, now you need twice as many batteries. So the newer technology is on both of these. So it's the 2700 cells going into them versus the 18650s, which these are using. The big questions that we were trying to answer are between the 2 9 amps, which will have the most runtime, and we did find that the DeWalt FlexVolt outran the Milwaukee with their 9 amp, so that was pretty big because when we did the miter saw test, the Milwaukee actually outlasted the FlexVolt.
So our Makita guys are going to know, is it worthwhile to bump up to the extra battery on this saw here? We know there's a couple costs and benefits. Do you want to touch on that?
I mean, this did really well. I see the little bit better. For me, hassling with 2 batteries, I think it's like 20 bucks extra or something. It's not really a cost thing. It's just that messing with 2 batteries, you have a great recip, very versatile. It did awesome. It was very light. I would go that way. I mean, that's what people seem to be doing. But I mean, for people that really are like in heavy demo, then maybe that is right for you. Yeah. Because it does have more power.
Okay. We got to mess around with the one key a little bit. Do you think that's worth the extra buck?
I think it's nice feature. The tool tracking's cool. I don't know if I would pay any more for it.
And for our DeWalt here?
DeWalt, I mean, you're getting a new battery platform. It does have a ton of power. It did run a long time, so I mean, it's good if you're a DeWalt guy. It might be the first tool I would be excited about getting FlexVolt for. Yeah.
And for our new Bosch here, their first brushless saw, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is right in line with the other ones. I mean, Bosch has kind of been out of the brushless game. Now they're in it. They got some drills, the Brute drills and the compact drills, and they're really hitting it hard this year with brushless. I think this is an awesome saw. If I was a Bosch user, I'd be super excited. Of course, that's only half the story. For the rest of it, check out the full article on koptool.com. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.